Page. All right, RTD Live Talk. We're live. It is Friday night, the 15th day of the month of November, and I'm excited to be back with you again. And so something different. I typically don't do live streams on a Friday night, but yet tonight's a special occasion because I'm excited to have a new guest join us, but yet someone everyone's familiar with. And so definitely want to cover and touch on a lot of subject matter, especially around the cryptocurrency sector, banking, and where are we heading moving into 2020, because I think this next decade will be one of a lifetime. So definitely want to cover a lot of things. So before I actually go to that screen, I want to welcome everyone to Detroit's #1 late night YouTube talk show. Give it a minute for people to get that notification, and then we'll get right into the subject of the evening. And so let me see who's checking in thus far. We got Corey, we got Colossal Enterprises, we got Jesse James, we got the New York Redneck. And so not today, Mike. We got Kenneth, we got Blunt News, Sterling Lee. So we got more people jumping in. So Justin March, I appreciate that love offering for the channel. So let me go right to the main screen here and introduce. I don't really need to introduce him, but I'm excited to have Bitcoin Ben join us on the RT Live Talk. Bitcoin Ben, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing excellent, man. Doing excellent. Excited to have you on. And so I appreciate you having reached out over the last couple of weeks or so and contributing to the program as far as the super chats. I appreciate that. I want to definitely acknowledge that, and it's very humbling for you, a man of your status. You're pretty big in your sector, so I appreciate you for joining me on mine, my friend. So thank you for tuning in with me to this evening.
Oh well, thank you very much. I'm a very small fish in a very small pond.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, sir. All right, man. So this evening, I wanted to just touch on a variety of things. So it seems like for whatever reason this week, I decided to reach out to a lot of people. So every day a live stream, maybe even two, and it was cryptocurrency enthusiasts, anti-cryptocurrency, anti. So I'm in the middle. So I just enjoy being able to speak to a variety of people and educate myself, because we're all learning at the same time. And so Bitcoin Ben, for those that may not be familiar with you or may not know how you've arrived with the name Bitcoin Ben, give us a little bit of how you got into the cryptocurrency blockchain space, and just give us on the basics for those that may not know who you are.
Absolutely. How's it going, everybody? It's your favorite truck driver in the whole wide world, Bitcoin Ben. I got into cryptocurrencies about 3 years ago now, maybe 3.5 of actually like looking into them, like learning about them, trying to figure out what the pluck these are, and then I made my first purchase probably 3 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm a hodler. I do not trade. I know how to trade, but not well enough that I trust myself to not put myself into the poorhouse, And well, I hodl, and I've been accumulating coins since like Litecoin
Mm-hmm.
was around maybe like $4,
Mm-hmm.
and actually Bitcoin was around $600,
Mm-hmm.
and I've wrote it up and I've wrote it down,
Yeah.
and I've actually been blessed where like me and my wife, we're not rich by no means,
Mm-hmm.
but we're also very content people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we aren't looking like Win Lambo,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm in it for the long haul. I'm looking at like maybe retirement, in I don't know, like 10 years or
Mm-hmm.
whatever like that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's probably when I'll actually look at what I've accumulated and actually make a choice on what I'll do then.
Mm-hmm.
And but what on my show is very diversified on like I said, I don't trade.
Mm-hmm.
I actually talk about like adoption and like what is going on with my friends who work at like exchanges, and I know a lot of the CEOs of the large projects, and they'll actually come on the show and kind of like lay out what they're doing and why they're doing it, and use cases, and it's basically I'm interviewing the future, like people that run Google, and like the future of people who run like PayPal, and it's such a young, relatively young technology in the overall scheme. That getting into it right now is either hugely successful or awfully dangerous.
I agree.
So you really got to tread lightly.
Yeah. Now let me ask you, and so does it? So I'm gonna go right into it. Does it concern you, or when you first was introduced to the subject matter of blockchain cryptocurrency, were you cautious, and are you cautious given the fact that Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever that is, no one knows, assuming that between now and sometime in the future that it'll be worthwhile to find out who that is or not? Does it bother you of the origins or lack thereof of information as to how it arrived, and the fact that it seems so timely as the world financial system is coming to a halt? All of a sudden, there's a backdoor for the world to use. Does that ever bother you?
No, and that might be linked because I am a Christian, and there's a lot of things in this world that I don't understand, and like I don't know why God created the octopus, but I'm sure there's a reason. And so the origins of the creation is not as much important to me as the reality of what the creation is. I have no idea who Satoshi Nakamoto is. No one does, and I'm sure someone does.
So I'm assuming he wasn't the only one working on that code to create the protocol itself. So somebody had to, unless he's just a smart guy or a smart whatever. So yeah.
No, there is actually there's a group of about, I'd say less than 100 people that were working on like cryptographic and digital, like e-money and e-cash was around prior to Bitcoin. And what Satoshi Nakamoto solved was the problem of the actual the flaw in everything else was the ability to double spend a currency that was sent. So he actually came up with an algorithm that actually solved that problem. And once that was solved, it actually made for a legitimate currency because it could not be duplicated.
Yeah. So with that being the case, Bitcoin is the original, or it's the gold of the blockchain cryptography space in regards to being able to actually transfer funds or whatever back and forth amongst individuals. So it's the standard. And so are you of the mindset that Bitcoin is going to be the head honcho into the future, or will because it's basically it's blockchain cryptography, cryptocurrency 101 right now, 10 first version. Do you foresee like Bitcoin remaining as it is now, or does it need to be added unto to make it more secure, more stable, more worthy of the future? Or because some people say Bitcoin is just that, it's gold, put in the vault, don't ever touch it, it's a store of value. What are your thoughts on how it will be used now and using in the next couple of years?
I think at least for the next probably 25 to 50 years, I think that Bitcoin will lead the market. It's kind of transitioned from a currency that you shop with for coffee to more of a store of value. That's why so many people refer to it as like the digital gold. And there, it has the first mover, and it has the brand. And really, with anything, your brand is everything. It's like the reason that the globe uses the U.S. dollar. Well, there's a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons is its brand. It has the label of USD. Now, in reality, it's just a piece of paper like every other fiat currency out there. It just has it has a different graphic on it that makes us, for some reason, respect it more.
Yeah. And so my thing is, right now we're at the point where there's so much question about the current monetary system. We're watching activity from the Federal Reserve they're basically, it's QE, but it's not QE, but yet daily there's, close to $200 billion a day being created in extra reserves, and they've extended the time periods, 28, 42 days, whatever. So we're witnessing a meltdown, but yet everything seems to be relatively calm, or we're being told that it's okay. And so there hasn't been much price action really in the cryptocurrency sector, even though there's been some jumps here and there, and but yet it always seems to correct, give or take. So there's obviously some guiding hands behind it. And so do you see perhaps, this December, because it'll be 2 years since the last little spike up, but for sure in 2020, as we get closer to the halving aspect of Bitcoin, that there's going to be some real movement that will get more people attention, or what?
Yes, I think along with the halving, which is the inflation rate or the distribution rate of actual Bitcoin will be cut in half. So that's like if you're trading in futures on corn, that you have the actual date where half of the actual farmers go out of business. That's the equivalent of what that is. And it's that, along with the current economic system with the Federal Reserve, which is basically literally the emperor's new clothes. It's we all know they're nude, and there's even a few of us pointing at them, and yet they're just marching along, naked as a jaybird. And they keep on telling everyone, no, look at my new outfit. And actually, this next run up is going to be mind blowing. And the reason why is because of the on ramps. We have so many more on ramps into cryptocurrency now than we had in 2017, because 2017 you basically had Coinbase, you had Kraken, you had Gemini, and that was about it. And now that's in America. Now you had exchanges over in Asia and over in Europe and Australia and this is a global thing. And it's the price reaction of cryptocurrencies are so much more instant than even like the price reaction of like gold and silver, because gold and silver, they truly are physical. Mm-hmm. Where if you have a local place that you purchase your gold and your silver from, mm-hmm. well, if you go over there and you just clean out the racks, mm-hmm. and you're like, I want all your silver, mm-hmm. Well, that retail outlet has to order more and restock, and it might take a week or two, to get in another shipment of silver or whatever. Where with cryptocurrencies, there are now networks between the exchanges, mm-hmm. where if Asia's having a real big run on like cryptocurrencies, mm-hmm. that those exchanges can actually pull from like Coinbase, mm-hmm. and those exchanges can actually pull from Kraken. Yeah. And it's a more reactive market than gold and silver can ever really be. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll show you right now. I am not anti-gold and I'm not anti-silver. I hold on.
You got you some weight there. Okay.
Oh yeah, I don't play around. I am not anti-gold and anti-silver.
Yeah.
I am anti-fiat.
Yeah.
Because, and we're seeing a transition, and unfortunately, I don't think they're going to ever let gold and silver mm-hmm. really go like they should, because those are pegged with industry, mm-hmm. and I mean, there's actually gold in your cell phone. There's a lot of silver. Well, I mean, not a lot, but there's like, you got silver in your laptop. You got silver in medicine. Mm-hmm. You got silver in your cell phone. It's got a lot of use cases, and if and Ed, I don't know how you feel about it, but I definitely know for a fact, looking at the numbers, that the COMEX with all of the derivatives, that every time that like gold puts its head up, they're whacking it down with a bunch of derivatives.
So like 100,000 or more contracts just dumped out. Like somebody gonna actually take a loss by dumping all that stuff out. So at some point, there's only so much of that you can do, because I'm of the mindset that, gold and silver, of course, they are money, and everything on top of that is what we choose to give it a value. But when you see China and Russia accumulating at an alarming pace for the last 20 years, relatively speaking, they have plans for it. So I know for a fact they're not going to let it out of their possession at a much cheaper price than what they probably deem it as being worth in their own currency, because the dollar's pricing of it is manipulated, of course. So beyond the whole yuan participation now in the COMEX and all the stuff, that they're spreading their wings now for one day when they're going to make a move of some kind against the Federal Reserve note, of course, and therefore the price might be discovered in another currency, hopefully so. Therefore, making what you have now is one of the things where, do you believe the dollar price, or do you believe the yuan or the euro or whatever else they price it in when I run? So it's only so much more manipulation they can do, I think.
Yeah, I have a slightly different view of why they are accumulating so much gold and so much silver, because I honestly believe that like China and Russia, a lot of people talk about how much gold they have. I really want to know how much silver they got. because I think if they're holding gold, they're holding silver too.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons that they're holding both of them may not be to back a currency, more to supply production in their countries. Because
that's cool.
If you look at the trade wars we're going through right now, is I could definitely see a point where it reaches where Trump would announce that, you know, there's a state of emergency that like no silver can leave the U.S.
Yeah.
You know, or like no gold can leave the U.S.
Yeah.
And there, especially silver. See, silver's got so many use cases.
And it's so undervalued, and it's so unbelievably, like, it's out of everything that we are looking at and we give value to, silver has been the most suppressed, which is like, why? And then you hear about JP Morgan sitting on the largest hoard that we know of. There's plans for it, of course. So, yeah.
Yeah, silver is, I mean, including cryptos, including silver is absolutely the most undervalued asset on the earth, because it's in relation to the amount of fiat money out there. Silver, with its use case and how much it's used in medicine and how much it's used in production and all that. It's used everywhere.
Yeah.
And yet you look at the price and then you think of just the national debt of the U.S. If you just did that math, it would be ridiculous what priced silver would be at.
And that's with just taking the M2 supply according to the U.S. debt clock. People love seeing the figure of $900 an ounce or whatever, and that's just utilizing the 1 year current above supply silver as opposed to the current M2 supply. So that's relatively small, but yet, with what's going on now, you have to basically measure the nominal value in all fiat currencies, because right now in Argentina, Venezuela, an ounce of silver, there's no price tag you can put on it in those countries. So anybody in their right mind would not be willing to get rid of that thing as something that's dying and being devalued heavily. So, yeah. Interesting. Very, very interesting. So I want to get your thoughts on, in 2020, it's going to be a new decade, a new era of everything, because it's going to be hard to keep the narrative of an expansion going. So something has to give. And so we got the presidential cycle, all that stuff like that. So turmoil is currently underway and it's going to get worse. So, okay. Now, how will the cryptocurrency, from a financial standpoint, because the banking sector will be impacted the most. So how will this current cryptocurrency, blockchain technology itself disrupt the banking sector? Because banks, after this next go round, will not be looked at the same, especially if they bail in everybody and don't give out or don't give people access to their funds. They're going to have a very salty taste in their mouth. So what will banking look like, in your opinion?
Well, I do not think there will be a crash.
Okay.
I think there will be a transition.
A smooth one, or a little bit of a rough ride? Will it be enough to wake up the masses that something's wrong, or will it be like an overnight Friday close the bank, something Monday morning, they open back up and they're dealing in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies behind the scenes type of thing, or what?
I think they're basically going to create a system that runs parallel with the existing system, and that will gradually transition into the new cryptocurrency system gradually.
Using what? Using what? Like using stable coins or their own tokenized?
Yes.
Okay.
The Federal Reserve announced like a couple of months ago that they were launching a network that's actually called FedNow.
Yeah.
And what it is that network is going to replace the brick and mortar network of the actual banking infrastructure of the U.S. right now. Because as this transitions, they're going to start closing banks and not really
close the small branches. You mean
Yeah.
small, like a commercial, like a little residential area? Bank of America's, Wells Fargo's, little local boys gonna close. Okay.
Yep. And it's going to be a gradual transition because really, most of us, at least most people that I know, we do 99% of our banking on an app on our phone. You know, and so the physical location is they may have one location in like each like major city, you know, because even now, if you receive like a physical check, all you gotta do is take a picture of it, you know, and shoot that off.
Now watch this. Isn't that process though of the transition into banking on your phone with an app, taking a picture of a check? Isn't that very timely though? You know, isn't that a part of a plan though? Like, doesn't that hit you as like on some like have they been preparing us for this the whole time? You know, type of thing.
All right. This hat is actually lined with tin foil. So get ready. There's a UN program called Agenda 21, and inside of Agenda 21 you have Agenda 2020, you have Agenda 2030, and those are all actually like benchmarks of their goals that they want to hit, you know, through the next century.
Yeah.
And if you read through the UN and the Bank of International Settlements and the IMF and all that, it's basically laying out exactly what's going on, and we've had Agenda 21 since like 1992 or 93. So this has been planned out through it's going to sound conspiratorial.
No, go ahead, lay it out. Because here's the thing: until we are in the future and we look back, anything can go right now. So we're going to find out when we look back. So I'm open for anything. Go ahead.
But there have been groups of world leaders that have gathered together and laid this out, and it's groups like
you got the Bilderbergs, and you talk about all those type of groups, and what's it called? Bilderbergs and foreign relations.
You know, those groups exist. They're not like a country club. They're not all meeting up and playing golf.
Yeah.
So it's they're meeting to plan out and coordinate a global effort to shift the globe in a united economic way. You know, it's they view themselves as almost like the global economic system is one corporation, and they just happen to be on the actual board of directors of that corporation. And so when you think of it like that, it actually makes sense. Now, you may or may not like it, which I don't.
Yeah.
But in reality, that's what they are. They are the board of directors of the global economic system. And so anybody who says, you're a conspiracy theorist, all that, all right, well then, if you think that's a conspiracy, do you think that the board of directors of Apple is a conspiracy? Well, of course not. Of course, Apple has a 20-year plan. Apple has a 10-year plan.
Yeah.
Apple has a 5-year plan. And every area in Apple has a 1-year plan. If you've ever worked or lived in the corporate structure, then you grasp that every area of that corporation, from like marketing, from like sales, they have yearly goals. Well, those goals are actually set internally, and it's actually set to align with what the board of directors want. Well, in a global banking system, you have to have a board of directors that leads the direction of the global banking system.
Yeah.
Well, who is that? That's the IMF. That's the Bank of International Settlements. That's the United Nations.
Yeah.
So when you wipe away the illusion that the mainstream media has put in front of us, that anyone who actually talks about the Bilderbergs or the IMF or any of these groups, because people who just chalk us up to like conspiracy theorists are really just people who, and I don't blame them, because this is how we've been trained, because of our education system has transitioned away from teaching us how to think to teaching us how to remember. It's we're no longer taught to think, we're taught to remember and regurgitate.
Right.
And it's when that's how your brain's wired, not to figure out why, but just repeat what someone else told you, then you're not going to be able to critically look at a structure and go, okay, logically, this is a world government ran by a bunch of actual board of directors that are leading the global banking system and leading us into where they want us to go.
Right.
Well, if you're not trained to think critically, then all you see is, is I see a bunch of banks, and then there's all these people that wear tinfoil hats.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think at this current moment that the governments in general are happy, or are they concerned with the current infrastructure of the blockchain cryptocurrency space overall?
I don't think that the governments have really been concerned about anything since about 1864. You know.
Now, why so long? Was that what 1864? What was that? Was that 164? Bring it back. Go ahead. I'll let you get finished. I'm trying to think too much.
Ever since the Civil War.
Okay, 65. Right? Okay. Yeah, good deal. Because I'm thinking the Legal Tender Act. Legal Tender Act was 1865, which gave us the greenback and everything else. Okay, so all right.
Yeah, I don't think that the government has really feared the people since the creation of really radio, because radio allowed unifying of a message.
Yeah.
And once they can unify the message, then they can lead the herd.
Yeah.
And so now it's the global governments and even the national governments, they live in a very sweet existence because they set policy, and yet they're able to implement private sector advancements quickly with their unlimited capital that they can apply to it. It's like the internet. The internet was originally created by DARPA, and what they did was they basically came up with the structure and the technology through DARPA, and then through friends of the government, they rolled the technology out to the general public, and then they let the general public and the entrepreneurial spirit of the general public create, and then the government could pluck out or financially help the corporations that were friendly to the government through tax breaks, through legislation, through ways to help that certain corporation grow. And that's a great example of that is actually Microsoft, because as much as people want to believe that Mr. Bill Gates and all his little buddies were out in the garage just rocking the entrepreneurial spirit and all that.
Yeah.
In reality, DARPA had created what was actually called DOS. And that was like the base programming of an operating system.
Yeah.
And then they created, or once they had created that, DARPA had issued that technology to a company called Texas Instruments. And then Texas Instruments sold the technology of DOS to
Mr. Bill Gates.
To Mr. Bill Gates, whose father at the time was the CEO of Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, I heard about that one.
Oh, and this, once again, I got on my tinfoil hat. Tales like this is why people refer to bloodlines. why is it that these certain families, like the Bushes and the Clintons and the Rockefellers, why are they always like right in the middle of everything?
Yeah.
Well, it's because
And they be marrying each other's daughters and yeah, okay, yeah. I'll be watching that stuff.
yeah, I mean if and I am a child of history. I love history.
Yeah.
And uh and who who is the only first lady that when she got married didn't have to change her last name?
I don't know that. I don't know that. I ain't gonna lie. Go ahead, give it to me.
Eleanor Roosevelt.
Ooh, okay.
Eleanor Roosevelt was actually the cousin of her husband.
Okay, I didn't know what that means. Yeah, that's a little twisted there, but yeah, clearly that was a plan. That was a strategy. That was keep it in the family.
If you look at what was going on at the time, it actually makes sense because back then there was a branch of science that the elites were very involved with, and that branch of science was called eugenics, and eugenics is basically the study of bloodlines, and the origins of eugenics actually goes back to Charles Darwin. And that's it's a whole evolution of this idea, because Charles Darwin, his actual his publication that he wrote, his actual book he wrote, Charles Darwin, The Origins of Species. Well, it had a longer title, and everybody leaves off the second half of the title of the book.
What was it?
Because it gives out the original intent of the book. The original title was The Origins of Species and the Furtherment of the Preferred Races.
Okay, I didn't know that one. Okay, man.
Oh yeah, look it up, my man.
I will. Yeah, I thumbed through it, like, 'cause I think on Google Books, all that stuff is free, but it's of course the edited version minus all the extra stuff, so that's not on there. So, but not I want to switch topics just slightly, because I want to get into privacy, and so Bitcoin is pseudo anonymous, meaning that there's ways of tracking, tracing. There's corporations that are funded by governments that are being set up and positioned to basically keep track of everything. And if you mention that you don't want that, then they say, "What are you trying to hide?" And they try to make you look like you're hiding some activity. Well, it's the same as, like, your bank account. You don't want nobody to actually know what's in there, but they're trying to make that null and void. So you got privacy coins, which I'm a big proponent of. What's the chance of them things catching on and becoming of extreme value? Because I think that the leading privacy coin happens to be Monero by market cap. It itself, to me, is, because of the feature of privacy, is of more value overall than Bitcoin to me. But what are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's and this is where I guess like my expertise in cryptocurrency comes in handy. There are platforms where you can send your Litecoin, you can send your Bitcoin into the platform, and it will
Shake them up, mix them. Yeah,
right. It will mix your coins where when they come out the other side, it's a clean coin. It has no history. and
But think about
so
this, though. Sorry to cut you off, but think about this. That's an extra hassle on your part to try to mix them, shake them, and spit them on the other side. So that means you have to A, know about that, B, want to take the effort to do that, as opposed to actual privacy coins that are designed to you just send, see, receive, and you can avoid all the extra stuff. So do you think we're going to have to do the extra stuff for the rest of cryptocurrency, or will like Charlie Lee, get the Mimblewimble in there, and or what? Sorry.
yeah, actually Litecoin, just like you said, they plan on implementing Nimblewimble, which you'll have the option to either go private or keep it public.
Now, is that for sure? I heard they talking about that. I mean, Charlie Lee he's trying to put fillers out there as if he don't know if he really, really want to do it. But will you think it go down officially or no?
The technology's ready. I think it's he's putting out feelers, which is smart.
Yeah.
I myself, Charlie, if you're listening, I would hold off for at least like 2 or 3, 4 years. You know what I mean? Because the Nimblewimble and any government agencies listening to this right now, shut your turn off your volume. I would not implement it until it was too ingrained into the system to unplug it. Because cryptocurrency itself is a Trojan horse. Well, if Litecoin is another Trojan horse inside of a Trojan horse, then you want a high enough rate of adoption and usage where if you in the future you add that feature, then it's already ingrained into the global economic system where it can't be outlawed, easily.
Yeah. And
that's what I would do. I wouldn't even be talking about Nimblewimble. I'd be like Nimble who, but that's just me. I'm maybe Charlie Lee's more trusting of like government and I don't think he is. He's not a dumb man.
Yeah. Good point. Now I'm curious to get your thoughts. So I remember watching you a while back, and I see that sign over your shoulder about HODL. And so I remember you referencing, I guess, HODL.com, or it was a company that was supposed to have launched or released some things or whatever. Is that something, like what happened to that? I haven't heard anything about that. Is that something that's on hold or what?
The HODLit project, which is actually www.hodlit, HODLIT.com. That project, they're holding off launching until probably February, because a lot of the exchanges out there right now have a lot of very suspicious volume, kind of like the COMEX, and where they may not hold the coins that they claim to hold.
Yeah.
And HODLit does not want to launch into that economy yet.
Yeah.
So they're actually partnering up with a couple of other places that I can't really talk about. But when they launch, they'll be, they'll actually make Coinbase look like a 7-Eleven.
Really? So because they're just an exchange, or they have extra features on top of it to make it worthwhile, or what is it? Has to be, I'm sure, pretty big to make anything else look small.
Yeah, they'll have several other features where like they will be an exchange where you can purchase it, and and they'll have an have they'll have another ability to link with your existing credit or debit card and round up your change.
Okay.
And then use your change. You can buy cryptos, and then in the future, because of the relationships that the owner of Hodl has, they will be launching what will be called HODL Pay. And HODL Pay is going to basically be the Visa MasterCard crypto version, where it won't be a Visa. It won't be a MasterCard. It will be a HODL Pay branded and work on the existing network of credit cards, like right now.
Yeah. Now watch this. So as of now, currently, regulation is not extremely clear, but yet they're trying to slowly but surely let us know what's a taxable event or what's not. And apparently, if you spend a cryptocurrency, that's a taxable event to where you have to keep track and all that stuff like that. So, and so there's debit cards now, crypto.com, and there's other cards out there. People encourage people to go spend. And as part of the adoption push, people are saying go spend and buy a cup of coffee. And it's like, I'm thinking like, so, how will all that play out, you think, as far as you actually be able to use it? Because if it appreciates, 5% within a night and you spend it, that's, one of the things where you're putting yourself in that territory of where, okay, you have to report some things and claim some things. So do you think the adoption push will continue to pick up and people will ignore, or how will that work in your opinion?
Once again, I think it's a transition. It's a slow, gradual transition. I have very close friends of mine, like my close friend, Mr. Pix Weir. He thinks we're all just on a road to just a brick wall at 100 miles an hour, and where we've never really had a crash, because the word crash is really relative. What is a crash? Is it a fender bender on a highway, or is it it's two 18-wheelers, head on?
Yeah.
It's we've always lived through every crash we've gone through, as an economic system, we had the 1929 Great Depression. Was that a crash? Yeah, you could call that a crash. Yeah. Or but did everything shut down and we all went like Mad Max, and the end of the world and humanity just rolled up the carpet and said we're done?
Yeah.
No, it's we'll always progress further. We just may economically limp along for a year or so, and then we'll adjust and we'll keep going.
Yeah.
And now I'm of the mindset that eventually reality and truth has to actually come back into our economic system. And how that works out, I think it's a mixture of a lot of older people's point of view kind of passing away with them.
Yeah.
And a lot of the younger people's point of view actually gaining traction. It's just a natural. It's the youth is more comfortable with technology than people our age. Yeah. Hell, I've seen 4-year-olds flying through an iPad like that.
Yeah.
And it just amazes me. It's like, you know, hell, I'm sitting there like tripping around, trying to find something. And then you got this 4-year-old that yanks it out of my hand and says, "Look here, stupid," you know, and it's, it's, it's just a natural evolution. And cryptocurrencies, I think, like our transition from, gold into fiat, into personal checks, into credit cards. This is the next advancement in the efficiency of transaction of value.
Yeah.
It's as if you and I, if we were around in like 1981 and we were doing a local radio show, and I actually told you, "Hey, have you heard of this thing called a credit card?" And you'd be like, "Yeah, I heard a little something about it." And you're like, "Well, all right, I'm bringing on the show credit card expert. This is Visa Ben, and then I explain that there's a stripe on the back of it, and that's actually magnetic, and you swipe it into this little thing, and you ching it. And,
Like, what is that? That sounds crazy.
Right, like, ain't nobody gonna use that piece of crap. Why would I use that when I got me personal checks right here?
Yeah, checking. Oh my goodness. Oh man. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So once you understand and really wrap your head around that exchange of value amongst humans is really it's what we are socially comfortable with at the time.
Yeah.
And the reason that credit cards worked is because in the late 70s and early 80s, we were slowly getting exposed to the idea of having a personal computer. And all right, well, if this personal computer works, this little piece of plastic here that I can swipe, well, hell, that makes sense too. And now we've had 10 or 20 years of internet, and now we're just rolling out the internet money.
Yeah.
It's because humans progress on the actual basis of efficiency.
Yeah.
It's if you look at the early emails, right? My grandfather never sent an email, but he wrote a hell of a lot of letters.
Yeah.
And so he would write a letter and he'd mail it. Well, I'd write an email and I'd send it off. Which one's more valuable?
Right.
Well, it's who you are.
Yeah. And the timing of that, because obviously there was no email to be sent back in that era where writing was, personable and private typically at that. So wasn't nobody, really tracking those letters like they are emails now.
Yeah. And so the value of the information in his letter is just as valuable in an email.
Yeah.
It's just the transaction method that actually differed. Oh, that's what we're going through now is we have our credit cards and we have our fiat dollars. Well, we're transitioning into the email money.
Yeah. Now, now one of my concerns with the email money is the fact that, and this is one of I did some video series called Confessions of a Bitcoin Critic or Cryptocurrency Critic, and one of my concerns is that once we go solely digital as an exchange of value, medium of exchange, there's no going back to anything physical, and so the privacy aspect is not something that's important to me. To where, even though the dollar is not worth much in regards to purchasing power, it's still something that I can have in my physical hand that I can give to somebody because they know what it is and they'll still accept it. Once we go solely digital and get into internet money 100% with nothing else, because cash is becoming a problem for the central banks and the government, so it's only natural that cashless society will become prevalent in 2020 and beyond because of the digital nature. There's no going back. And so, once again, I don't trust my cell phone. I don't trust privacy in my cell phone, my computer, or nothing. So to only do transactions on a screen that I know has a back door to it is not really appealing to me overall. But it's one of the things I know that's where we're heading. So it is what it is. But I'm in a rush for that mass adoption is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. And and I'm right there with you. I'm happy using Litecoin because it's more private than what they're trying to move us into.
Yeah.
And I myself, I will, even when the Federal Reserve issues their digital currency, I'm going to sell that crap as soon as I can. And I'm going to get me some Litecoin, or I'm going to get me some Bitcoin that I'll have more control over.
But watch this. Once that Fed coin comes out, it's going to be legal tender. Therefore, all debts, public and private, will need to be accepted in it. So you're going to still have to more likely keep some on hand to pay a light bill, your gas bill, or whatever. So it's one of the things it's going to be a mandatory use currency for all transactions amongst businesses. Because do you think they're going to allow Litecoin, Bitcoin to be options? Because that's competition. And so, of course, who would want to have something that's going to be easily printed or digitized or whatever, as opposed to something decentralized and limited supply, all that stuff like that, which has more sound money practices to it. I don't think they're going to welcome a competition directly.
Well, I don't think they're going to have a choice because what the people need to start to recognize is we do have the power. We've just been actually talked out of using it. And really, corporations and companies, they don't care what shape or how they get paid. If we all traded in rocks, if we as a collective valued, solely gold, then that's what the corporations would accept.
Yeah.
If we all value this, that's what they'll accept. If we all value Litecoin, they'll accept Litecoin. If we all value Bitcoin, they'll accept Bitcoin. And we've already broke the seal on governments accepting cryptocurrency for paying your taxes. That happened in Wyoming. That happened in Colorado.
Yeah. No, that's true. And I'm sorry to cut you off, but watch this. At this current moment, some governments, some states allowed, I think Ohio was recently, but I think they stopped for whatever reason. But here's the thing. In a world where central banks are on a race to zero, they're printing like no other. Therefore, you can't really determine the value of a Litecoin. So Litecoin today is 58, 59. It's according to all the properties of Litecoin, scarcity limited, whatever, it's worth more than that. So I'm like, I don't necessarily want to spend one when I don't know the true value of it, even though, I had the unfortunate pleasure of years and years ago of spending some Bitcoin. I'm like, dog, I was dumb as hell. knowing that it was, so I'm like, why would I ever spend again? Like, it was just, because I can't tell what the real value is. I'd rather spend paper in the meantime. So it's one of them things like, is Gretchen's law, bad drives out the good, or good drives out the bad. Why would you spend the good and keep the bad or whatever? So yeah.
That's actually like a personal preference.
Yeah.
I originally bought Litecoin at like $4. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm in the green like a mother, and so doing a little shopping with my Litecoin, I'm like, shit, I ain't paid for none of this. Excuse my language.
Yeah, I feel you.
If it's really at what point do you go, man, I'm all right. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna shop with some of this. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people who say, why would you shop with Bitcoin? Why would you shop with like Litecoin? Well, we have to remember that we don't live in a bubble. Mm-hmm. It's these corporations are seeing the same things that we're seeing. Mm-hmm. So there are several companies that I know that will give you a discount if you pay with cryptos. Mm-hmm. Well, what if our U.S. monetary system gets so bad? They're like, Walmart's like, look, we'll give you half off if you pay in Litecoin or if you pay in Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. Well, that right there, that might squeeze that little fraction of Bitcoin out of your hand.
Or that's like, okay, so if you got major international retailers willing to come up on a loss for that currency, perhaps I might want to hold on a little bit longer. So that would be my thinking, but everybody's different. So yeah.
That actually links with like creative destruction. Uh-huh. Right? Hey man, we'll go down these rabbit holes.
Hey, take it there. It's okay.
Right. So then how much pressure does that put on a corporation to put out the best product they can put out? Because if you think about it, if you have a country that a large swath of holds on to good money, deflationary money, you better offer a damn good product to get them to let go of that deflationary currency. Yeah. So that's actually going to lend a lot of pressure over to these corporations to create such a want by the consumer that it outweighs the want to hold the currency. This is literally creating an economic system that leads every corporation or every business to want to be the best. Yeah. And that right there creates an economic engine of a country where every sector of the economic in corporate world is actually it is literally making it the most competitive market ever to exist, because now you have good money in a system that these corporations are going to have to compete for that good money. Well, the only way they compete is lower prices and a lot better products.
Yeah. Now watch this. And so the competition side of things is clearly why you got Amazon looking to get into banking. Walmart's going to get into banking. Facebook is trying to get into banking with Libra. And so everybody's like, hey, let me get some of this pie as well. And so let me go ahead and make it easier to hold funds and become a bank. And so everybody's trying to become a financial institution these days. So, but hey, Bitcoin Ben, we are over an hour. Be your own bank. Yeah, might as well.
your own way. You know.
All right, so we are over. We are. Huh? Say again.
I could ramble for hours,
and I can too. But I'm like, so the good news is we're doing this on a regular basis. So that's what I'm getting into. So we're gonna be doing this again tomorrow anyway. So for those that are tuning in as we get ready to dial back, a part of just linking up different minds, different ways of thinking, different strategies, different levels of expertise. And so me, Bitcoin Ben, and a couple other gentlemen are going to be getting together to actually put together a mastermind. And so that's what we've been working on for the last couple of weeks. And so I'm excited that we actually got a good little team assembled thus far. So it's, the Wise Guys Mastermind. And so it's one of the things where we're getting together, discussing these matters and strategizing and trying to be of encouragement to one another. And so definitely the Wise Guys Mastermind will be for Patreon subscribers. So something that we've been coming together, what we've been wanting to do for a while. So here it is now. So with that being the case, Wise Guys Mastermind, more information is coming. But yeah, we're getting together once a week and we're going to be, probably end up doing some live streams and, just talking more in detail. And me personally, basically being more specific towards strategies and whatnot, because typically I speak real general just because I don't want to, just let my business out there. So in the mastermind, I'm gonna go straight to the source, whatever. But that being the case, for those that are interested, who are watching right now, definitely become a Patreon, because there will be there are probably, the second tier, which is a silver tier, which is about $10 a month. I'll be looking to make sure those people and above get access to it. But as of right now, until probably Monday, if anyone's interested in wanting to participate and get the video content directly, because it's only going to be available for Patreons, consider becoming a Patreon for my channel as well as for Ben's as well, if you guys are not there. So with that being the case, we're going to dial back because we're meeting again tomorrow with all the guys, and we're going to talk more, and we got more things to talk about. So for 2020, the goal is strategies and solutions. So that's what we're working on. So for those that are interested, definitely become a Patreon, and you'll get automatic information there. But Bitcoin Ben, we're back at it tomorrow. And so any last thoughts you want to leave us with before we pick it up again with the guys tomorrow?
Yeah, anybody interested in getting into cryptocurrency, my advice is just move slow. Mm-hmm. Act like you're walking into a pitch black room, mm-hmm. and you got to give your eyes time to adjust to your surroundings, mm-hmm. and just take your time and move in accordance with your comfort level.
Yeah. Good point there. And so that's the good news is, like, I'm not an advocate, but I'm not a hater. I'm in between. I support it. I like it. Been involved in it. But it's one of the things where I love my weight. I love my digits. So I'm in between. So I just want to build a bridge between those that are for and against it, and just encourage one another. Because no matter what, we're up against something a lot greater than what we know about. So we got to be prepared in whatever ways possible. So Bitcoin Ben, it's been great hanging out with you. Definitely looking forward to continue to have these great discussions in the group or whatnot. So tomorrow we back at it again, and so let's get a good night rest, and we're back at it tomorrow for the Wise Guys Mastermind. So looking forward to connecting with you, my friend, and being of value and of service to each other. So with that being the case, everybody, it's been great hanging out. If you have interest in joining and being a part of the group, definitely just become a Patreon subscriber, and you'll get the video content directly, because it will not be publicly released apart from those in the group. So other than that, it's been great hanging out. We're about 1:14, so it's probably the longest I've gone. So, but once again, we could have went for another hour if we wanted to.
yeah, no doubt.
All right, well, everybody be blessed, be safe, and I will see you guys later. Enjoy your weekend until we meet again. Peace. Hey there, sorry for this interruption, but I wanted to bring something to your attention. If you've been enjoying this live stream, why don't you partner with me and be a support to the channel via Patreon membership for just a minimum of $5 a month. All you have to do is scroll down beneath this video here, click the Patreon link, then consider donating as little as $5 a month towards the channel. A little bit of crumbs can go a long way, and I appreciate your support. Now, let's get back to this live stream.